This episode is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Browns fans, if you missed out on the 50% site-wide sale at Omaha Steaks, guys, what were you thinking? Come on, the deal of a lifetime just slipped you by. All kidding aside, luckily for all the listeners of this show, for a limited time, you can now go to omahasteaks.com/dogs, DAWGS, and you'll receive 4 free air-chilled boneless chicken breasts and 4 free, rich, juicy boneless pork chops with your order. So now's the perfect time to go load up for the winter with Omaha's selection of steaks, including butcher's cut filet mignons, bacon wrap filet mignons, the top sirloin steaks, which are my favorite, but man, I gotta tell you guys, those bacon wrap fillets, those are something else. Throw in some Omaha steak burgers, jumbo franks, seafood, ready-to-eat meals, desserts, whatever you want. Just make sure you go to omahasteaks.com/dogs so you can get those 8 additional free items added to your order. The 4 boneless chicken breasts and the 4 pork chops. Believe me, I've tried them all. I've got the chicken and pork chops in my freezer right now. The pork chops are actually reserved for my solo dinners because my fiance doesn't eat pork. So, when she's working, it's pork chop time for Josh. And they're so juicy and tender, they practically fall apart. I seriously don't know how long this offer is going to be available because Omaha said it won't last long, but just go to omahasteaks.com/dogs, DAWGS, and score those 8 free additional items with your order. Minimum purchase may apply.
Welcome to the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast presented by Omaha Steaks. Josh and Justin with you, ready to chop it up today. We got some stuff to talk about. One thing, I did the episode the other day with DF, Derek Frisbee. We kind of talked about the breaking news of the Browns firing Alex Van Pelt, Stump Mitchell, TC McCartney, all that stuff. So we're going to get Justin's perspective and his opinions on all that kind of stuff and the news that broke. And then, as Browns fans, it's pretty easy to get caught up in the fact that, one, we were even in the playoffs. I mean, with the way the season went, and we made it into the playoffs, it was just awesome. And then the heartbreaking, devastating way it ended. But we were the first game of the entire slate, and there was a lot of other football last weekend that was played. We are just at the beginning of the playoffs. We're moving into the divisional round, so we just wanted to jump in here, kind of recap some of those other games that happened last weekend and preview what's coming up in the divisional round, because as we move forward through the offseason here with the Browns and how they're kicking everything off moving to 2024, the NFL's still going on, the playoffs are still going on, so we want to make sure we cover all that too. So, Justin, how you doing today, man?
I just got off work, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna take a nap after this. So I'm, but other than that, I'm good. Ready to discuss some things,
Yeah, man. Well, it's honestly the perfect time for a nap because it's freaking cold outside. That's why I got my Olaf chilling with my Snowmies shirt on because it's cold out there, snowing and stuff.
Kids didn't even have school today.
Ooh,
it was so cold. Yeah, school got shut down. It was so cold outside. They didn't shut my work down, unfortunately.
Right, so it's not a snow day, it's a cold day.
It's a cold day. Yeah, exactly. I didn't have cold days when I was a kid. I don't remember those.
I don't remember those either.
Must be like a 2020 and on thing because I don't recall those.
Nope. Well, we're not having a cold day here on the show. We're going to go ahead and talk about all this stuff. So why don't we just kick it over to you? Let's talk about your reaction to seeing the news that, offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt has been let go by the Browns and Stump Mitchell and the tight end coach TC McCartney.
It's kind of surprising, right? I guess there's parts of it. Like with Stump Mitchell, I'm very surprised. He's a guy that's kind of regarded in the league as like, he's the running back whisperer. By all regards, he's like one of the best running back coaches that a team can get. It stinks because we've met him personally. Super nice guy, super humble guy, great guy. I wish him nothing but the best. I mean, like, just a great guy. Can't say enough about him. But I was surprised about that. Like when you sit back and reflect on the season, you go, you lose your best running back week 2. You lose your all-star guy, your all-pro. He's gone at the beginning of the season. And then, you're left with Jerome Ford, and we bring in Kareem Hunt and trade for Pierre Strong. I guess in some regards, some of it, I guess I can like, put two and two together. I feel like Ford kind of struggled to develop as, maybe as like vision. That's something we questioned all year. We said,
Every week.
like he's having trouble. My biggest thing that I watch Jerome Ford is I'm like, man, I think he's great. It's like he just never makes the cut. I feel like he's always running horizontally along the line and he just never makes the cut or shoots for the gap. In space, he's insane. Like the kid is electric when you get him out in space. That's why I love him running routes.
Right.
If he could be like our Duke Johnson from years and years ago, if you're a newer Browns fan, you probably don't know this man, but Duke Johnson, he was third down. You knew what you were going to get. He was going to catch a little slant and cut him loose. But
That's true.
So that part, I guess there's things that I understand with it, but at the same sense, I go, what do you expect? What do you want the guy to do? Like you're down your best player. So I understand that one. Alex Van Pelt, this is me. I'm not linked in with the Browns organization, but for years now, I've been going, so what exactly does Alex Van Pelt do? I know, you read about him and people are like, he's this young offensive mind and he's great. But to me, I'm like, well, he's not calling plays, like I guess he did scheme for a bunch of different quarterbacks this year and like different injuries and stuff like that. So whether that's him or coach, we don't know that. Honestly, like as fans, it's hard to tell what's coach, what's AVP, what's his role. If I don't know what this means moving forward for Kevin Stefanski, is this saying, hey, maybe this is a changing of guard, maybe he gives up play calling, maybe we bring in a young defensive. I mean, look what's going on in Detroit and some of these other teams where you have, even like a Shane Steichen last year with, the Eagles, you get these young coaches in and they get it cooking and you see what they're doing now. So maybe this is an opportunity to bring in a young guy. I haven't really looked at, some of the names that are getting tossed around with Cleveland yet as far as who could be coming in or not. But that's the way I see it. Tight end coach, another like kind of surprising thing for me. You look at like David Njoku's growth, from beginning to the end. He's always been a great blocker. We've always, thought, man, this guy, I think he's one of the best, blocking tight ends in the league. And then, he really kind of came alive, the last, I would say, 6 weeks. His drops have, been better. I know you'll still hear fans say, that his drops are terrible, but I was surprised. I honestly was surprised. I don't know. Maybe there's something coming here that we don't know about. Maybe it's just very surprising. I felt like for a team that survived all these injuries and overcame all these different things and was able to still overcome and get to 11 wins. And it wasn't like the offense was not a part of it. I mean, the team, we always like to say the strength was the defense, but there's a lot of games where the offense had to handle business, at least make a drive to set, DP up, or I'm sorry, Hopkins up for a game-winning field goal or go-ahead field goal. So it's just, it was kind of surprising news I didn't expect to hear today. I felt like this was the kind of thing I would hear 5 years ago, like, hey, we're shaking things up and we're going to start over kind of again as far as the coaching staff. So I don't know how you guys felt. I haven't gotten to listen to UNDF's complete views on it, but it was kind of surprising on my end.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying too. And one thing that I did say when I was talking to Derek was, I think that there's so much trauma as Browns fans. As soon as you see the team making any sort of coaching moves, you just kind of revert back to that, like repressed, oh my gosh, we're tearing it down to the studs, we're rebuilding, starting over.
We're stepping back. Yep, exactly.
And, these are position coaches. Where it really matters, where you need consistency with your team, the front office and the head coach, everything's still in place. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's all still there. We've been talking for years now, and especially this year, how the offense has just gotten kind of mundane. It's just kind of boring, a little bit predictable, stale. Yeah. And I think that this is a good move. For me anyway, this signals like positive news for me. I'm like, cool. The Browns just got, beat in the playoffs, and they look at this season saying, okay, we're ready to build off of this. Let's make some very necessary moves to get better and get back to the playoffs next year. They don't want to just stay the same. And so anything they can do to improve. And I think, we talked about how Kevin, I still think he should be coach of the year. I mean, he's an incredible head coach. But to get like a young offensive genius, specialist kind of consultant type guy in here, he doesn't even have to be the OC. Or he could be the OC, but just do what Van Pelt did. We just need fresh schemes and game plans and ideas and all that kind of stuff in that room. What's up, Browns fans in Ohio? If you haven't signed up for Caesars Sportsbook yet, now is the perfect time to do so with the NFL playoffs underway. New customers will get their first bet on Caesars up to $1,000 when signing up with our promo code DAWGS1000. That means if your first bet loses, you will get your full wager returned as a bonus bet up to $1,000. Caesars offers daily profit boosts as well as Caesars rewards credits on every wager, which can be redeemed for bonuses, sports tickets, and other VIP experiences. If you're ready to join Caesars Sportsbook, go download the app and register with our promo code DAWGS1000 to make sure your first bet is covered. Offer is only available for new customers who are 21 and older and physically present in Ohio. Please gamble responsibly. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you can qualify.
Something that crossed my mind also is, the last, I would say, year and a half, we've kind of been at this thing where we're like, does Kevin's offense really mesh well with Deshaun Watson? Is this an opportunity to maybe bring in a guy that will take Deshaun Watson's strengths and run with it? That's one thing I've been so surprised about, that at least they couldn't even meet in the middle, it seemed like, from the outside. This is just a fan's perspective. From the outside, I felt like it was just two different styles and we could never get on the same page. And then you see Flacco come in and it was almost like this perfect marriage with, Stefanski, as far as like timing and everything, like timing-based offense. So is this, to me, I look at it as maybe this is an opportunity to bring in a guy that will look at what Watson does best and go, okay, well, hey, this is what was successful for you in Houston. Let's take all the strengths out of this and run with it and see what we can do.
Do you remember when me and Blake did the episode with Jake Burns back during the bye week?
Yes.
So he had we asked him all these questions about the offense and Kevin and everything, and he said what the problem is Kevin is running a more antiquated offense. Yeah, it's outdated. Okay. So it was really popular, or I shouldn't say popular, like it was new a while ago. And when it first came in and, the offensive minds were adapting to it and implementing it, it was working well. And the things that it was designed to do well could exploit defenses because they didn't know how to stop it. But now years and years and years later, defenses have caught up to it. They've adjusted, they've adapted. And now, in order for the things that this offense does well, in order for that to happen, like you have to execute it almost flawlessly. You really, really do. And we saw it this year with poor execution, it doesn't work. And I think you said that and just kind of hit me in the head that, I don't know what kind of offense Deshaun Watson is used to running through Clemson and then Houston, but he's a younger quarterback still. You know what I mean? He's been thrown into the NFL and into the pros probably in a more updated system, a more updated style, where Kevin's running this older style offense, and look who stepped in and executed it well. An older quarterback who probably has experience over years and years and years with these types of schemes and philosophies. So that might also be a reason why Joe Flacco was able to step in and just take it and go. Right. I hadn't really thought about that before.
That was something that crossed my mind while I'm reading the news this morning, and I'm going, man, it's just a little confusing. But I mean, the idea is great. Now, like, what you're going to see over the next few days is outside Cleveland Browns fans, anti-Cleveland Browns fans, and even like that 50% of Cleveland Browns fans that just don't like the Browns. I don't know what your guys' deal is, but you're going to see, oh, this is typical Browns being the Browns, burn it down when there's nothing to burn. So for me, I'm trying to take the positives out of this, and I'm trying to see what there's always a long-term goal, right? It's not like they woke up today and they just called these guys in. They're like, hey, we're moving forward. I'm guessing that this is something that's been talked about pre-playoffs. This obviously, I never would have thought Stump was even like hot seat material. I just figured, hey, next year you get Chubb back and you're good to go. But
yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it more like if they're bringing in a new offensive-minded guy with different, like a new OC, he's probably going to want...
bringing his own guys.
Probably going to bring in his own positional guys. So This just makes. I don't necessarily think it's an indictment on Stump's performance as a coach. I just think it's like, hey man, sorry, like we're gonna roll the new team in here, and I don't know. What I've seen from the Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski era is they never get complacent, they never get content. Every year they're always looking to make moves to improve, and that's just how I view this. I see it as, okay, this isn't working anymore with AVP, and I did just see actually that the reports came out that they tried to work a deal with AVP, like they just wanted to reassign him to a different role.
Right.
They're like, are you open to that? And essentially they just couldn't agree, and he decided it just wasn't for him. He wanted to move on. I think he wants to be an OC, so good for him.
I mean, I get that. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to take a demotion at work. Then, I get, especially there's going to be some positions open. I mean, who knows he might stay in division, like Bengals offensive coordinators interviewing for the Tennessee job, Pittsburgh. I think they're still trying to figure out their offense, as far as what they want to be identity-wise and like what they want to do. So I wouldn't – it's not like there's not jobs available. I mean, there's jobs available probably in the AFC North. So makes sense. I get it.
Yep, for sure. So, all in all, I think I don't see any reason to freak out about it or think that this is the sky is falling. I honestly –
surprising. It was surprising.
Surprising. I wasn't – but again – wasn't
what I expected this morning, but
Good for them. If they have a plan of attack and they want to execute it and get things rolling for 24, start now. Don't wait around and, beat around the bush. Let's get this thing moving. We got stuff to do.
Agreed.
Okay. Anything else with the coaching stuff you wanted to hit on?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
Nope.
All right, cool. So let's move over and talk about these other games that happened last weekend. So I guess... which game was right after ours? Do you remember? Wasn't it the Chiefs and the Dolphins?
Yes, Chiefs-Dolphins.
Chiefs-Dolphins. So I had stuff going on that night after the Browns game. I did not watch this game. Did you watch this game?
I did, yes. Okay. I did watch it.
I think I was in too big of a depression anyway to even care about football. It didn't even check the score till like the next day. But what were your takeaways from this game?
I wasn't shocked when you saw like how cold it was going to be. Mm-hmm. My biggest thing going into that game, I was like, man, if they play that game in Kansas City in this cold, I felt like Miami was going to be at a huge disadvantage.
Is this true? It says it was so cold that Patrick Mahomes' helmet shattered on a hit?
Shattered. Yeah. So he got hit. It literally was like a little QB run, and he kind of put his head down. It was like a little helmet to helmet action, and a big piece of the front of it just cracked and fell out.
Holy crap. I got to go look this up.
Yeah, there's pictures, video of it and everything. It's pretty crazy. So for me, the biggest thing, I wasn't surprised by the result necessarily. I figured, I thought Miami was still going to be okay because they have a nice ground game, but I mean, Kansas City is Kansas City. They made enough plays to do what they had to do. Travis Kelce had a decent game. I think he had like 7 for 71 or something like that. Rashee Rice just keeps being like the guy. Good. He looks like a guy that's going to be really good in this league. And if they actually do go and get like a true number one receiver, like all the talk is right now, like a Mike Evans or a T. Higgins or maybe an A.J. Brown, if things get a little crazy and, some trades happen, Rashee Rice is going to be, I think he's going to be elite regardless. But I mean, if he isn't the number one guy and he's just not getting double covered and they kind of let him just do his thing, he's a player that you have to like, especially he's just so explosive. He's a great draft pick for them. It's awesome. But yeah, I mean, Kansas City, the wind chill is like -30. Weird game to watch because like the ball kind of fluttered. It looked like the Chiefs and, Dolphins receivers were having trouble with the ball, catching it. I wouldn't want to play in that. I don't even want to go outside and like walk to my car and it's -10 wind chill in Ohio right now. So I can't imagine being out there for, 4 hours in it. But not shocked. I think if it was in Miami, maybe it's a different game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If it's in that weather in their stadium with their fans. But I think it was just kind of a disadvantage for Miami.
I feel like the biggest thing with the Chiefs this year has been their offense. I think their defense is stout.
Their defense is insane. It's so overlooked.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody talks. Me and Blake literally were having this conversation, I think 2 days ago, and we're talking about, Kansas City and we're actually talking about number one receivers and stuff. Like I said, if they get a number one receiver, they're going to be right back to elite level again because their defense right now is so overlooked. Snead is as a lockdown. He's a lockdown corner. He's literally every week he's taking the best receiver and he's basically shutting them out. Jones is a stud. There's so many big value guys, I guess high profile guys on offense that their defense is completely like under the radar. They have a very, very good defense.
Well, they're not going to be under the radar much longer. I mean, like you said, locked. I mean, Tyreek Hill had 5 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown, but
he got free on the one.
I mean, for him, that's a bad game.
Yeah.
Or a low game. You know, it looks like Tua didn't have a very good game. Like I said, I did not watch it, but like you said, I expected their ground game to do better. They did not. I mean, 76 yards on the ground. So Miami gets bounced.
Yeah. Pacheco's nice.
Yeah.
Pacheco's a guy that we kind of thought would be a nice player for them. You know, when you're a featured running back in an offense like that, I think you have an opportunity to shine. And he's an angry runner, man. He's fun to watch. He's not afraid to lower his head and knock some guys over. He's explosive, fast. Bro, they got something right there with that guy too.
Yeah, and he's like a 7th round pick or something. So good for him.
Yeah.
You know, awesome when you can find contributing, like very, very strongly contributing players.
Especially when you miss on a running back in the first round.
Yeah.
And you can just
do that.
Hide Edwards away. Calling you out by name, brother.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. So, Browns fans, did you guys all know that 45% of the world's coffee beans contain mold toxins? Because I didn't. And apparently, coffee beans can contain dangerous mold toxins from the way they're grown or stored. Now, don't freak out. Most of that coffee, I guess, contains low enough levels of toxins that you probably don't need to be overly concerned. Why even take the risk? Danger Coffee is third-party lab tested to ensure every coffee bean is free from mold toxins. So you can start your day off right, knowing your fresh morning brew is not only delicious, but it's also safe to drink. I start every morning now with my Browns thermos filled with nice, hot Danger Coffee, and this stuff tastes amazing. I don't have to worry about any of that mold toxin crap, and I get to enjoy a delicious cup of coffee. Head to dangercoffee.com and use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order with code DAWGS at dangercoffee.com. All right, so let's bounce to the next game. So this one actually took place while we were doing our live show on Sunday night. We were getting updates in the chat. If you watch that show, go back and listen. You probably hear us reacting to some of this stuff. The Green Bay Packers came into Dallas and just shocked them. They just beat the living daylights out of them. I mean, the final score ended up 48-32, but I believe the actual score was 48-16 before Green Bay subbed all their guys out.
Yeah.
I mean, surprising. Dallas ended up with some big numbers on offense. Dak, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb, 110. Jake Ferguson had almost 100, 10 catches, 3 touchdowns, but it's like all garbage time because the Packers were up big and up fast.
Yep. I would say this was like the upset of the week because we heard chatter from guys on Discord and stuff like that, and people thinking like my biggest thing is like Dallas at home usually is money in the bank. That's the way I looked at it. And I went into that game. I'm friends with a Green Bay Packers fan. He's like, we got him. I'm telling you, man. He's like, Jordan Love. I was like, I just don't think so. I was like, I expected that Dallas disappointment game to come, next week.
Right.
If they had to go on the road or even, somebody else. Jordan Love is nice. Jordan Love is really, really good. I didn't get to watch the entire game. I only got to watch pretty much like I'd say second half. But the role players that step up on that team, not really in this game, but you have like Jaden Reed, like Dontavian Wicks, like some of these other Bo Melton, like some of these guys. Then Aaron Jones does not look like he's getting older.
It kind of did during the season, but I think it must have just been injury.
Health-wise, he had I think he had a knee injury. It was just a sprain, like an MCL sprain or something like that. And he missed like some games. He missed, I want to say like 5 or 6 games for sure. But he looked good in that playoff game from what I got to see. Dallas, for a team that has had 12 wins the last 3 years, like 12 wins is, the expectations are crazy because 12 wins, you say, hey, Cleveland Browns have 12 wins the last 3 years. We're ecstatic. We're like, man, this is the best days of our life as Browns fans right now. The expectations, you're talking about firing Mike McCarthy already. I wouldn't be shocked at all if that news drops any second, just because of some of the guys that are available on the head coaching market right now. You got Bill Belichick, Harbaugh's out there. There's some guys, Vrabel's another guy I think kind of is going under the radar. I think Mike Vrabel's a very, very good coach. I was kind of surprised he didn't end up in New England. But, they already made their decision very quickly. I guess it was like a succession plan.
Yeah, they had that thing lined up and ready to go.
Lined up for, I guess like a year or something like that. So that one surprised me. I would say of all the games, that was the one I did not see happening like that.
Have you seen the graphic of the stats between Jordan Love and CJ Stroud from last week?
Yeah, they're even. It's the same guy.
Identical.
They're the same. I mean, a couple more attempts, couple more completions. I want to say Jordan
16
Love's
of 21, both of them.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy.
3 touchdowns.
Perfect passer ratings on both of them, right?
Yeah, 272, and I think Stroud was like 276. It's like 4 yards difference in their stat line. Otherwise, they were identical.
Both first-time quarterbacks, first time in the playoffs.
So, and isn't it interesting? This is where I was coming with that too.
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys, Cleveland Browns. Whenever you think best defenses in the league this year, those two, right? I mean, 49ers, Ravens,
Baltimore,
But when you're talking about these teams, I mean, Cleveland Brown, I mean, it was their defense, man. The defense is what made that team, that was the strength of their team. Dallas, the defense, you heard about it all the time. And both of those teams went into the first round of the playoffs and got
shredded.
Yeah, shredded.
Yeah. It's surprising. It's very, very surprising.
It's an offensive league. And again, I know it has not worked out yet to this point. I know it's only been 12 games in 2 years, but this is why you go out and you get a quarterback of the caliber of Deshaun Watson when they're available, because you just don't know if you're going to have this opportunity to go toe-to-toe with some of these teams that can put up points like this.
I agree. We've talked about that for so long. I feel like that's been a subplot of our podcast for years now, is you've got to have an elite playmaker at quarterback. If you really are really serious about going to the Super Bowl and winning it, you've got to have like a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. And it's very, very, very surprising. And the wild thing is that high profile Dallas offense, I would consider them a good offense. You have a real deal number one with CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott, say what you want, he's up and down, but for the most part, he was playing pretty damn good the last few, I would say 6-7 weeks. He was kind of on fire. So for them to come in and they basically were shut out until they pulled their starters, Green Bay starters. And then Dallas did make the game interesting. It got very close at the end. If you were watching it, they just kept scoring and kind of rallying. It's not how I saw that game going at all. I figured decently close, but I would give it at least a touchdown score Dallas's way, especially at home. Not how I saw it.
Screwed me big time in a survivor for the playoffs, that's for sure, because
I bet.
Yep, I'm out.
I would have picked it the same way. I would have picked it the same exact way.
I looked at the slate and I thought for sure, I'm like, man, I could see most of these games going kind of either way. And I looked at that game like, nah, I don't see Green Bay going into Dallas and coming out with a win. And wow. And then the game after that, the only close game of the entire super wild card weekend was the Lions and the Rams. So this game was so interesting because this is like the match of the QB swap, Yep. Detroit sends Matthew Stafford to L.A. L.A. sends Jared Goff to Detroit. A Super Bowl and a down year later, here come the Rams into Detroit, and they get beat 24-23. Close one here.
Close, yeah, and it kind of looked like it was going to be the shootout the first half, right? I want to say it went into halftime 21-17, something like that.
Yes, 21-17.
So
yep.
I'm just a lot of cool narrative to this game, like the idea of, Jared Goff made it to a Super Bowl with the Rams, and they decided, hey, he's not our guy. we need something a little bit more elite, and it did. It paid off for the Rams. They forever will have a Lombardi Trophy to their name. But it was kind of cool seeing Stafford come back to Detroit, because I, as somebody from the outside looking, I think Detroit fans still have probably a lot of love for Stafford. He was their guy through a lot of rough years, and then when they're right there fringy with Calvin Johnson and stuff like that, where they just maybe they were going to ascend and then kind of just never did. But I'm happy for Detroit, though. Detroit's a franchise that is very deserving of, I would say, hopefully a deep playoff run. And they've got some nice weapons on offense. They've got guys that, you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got Sun God. Jahmyr Gibbs looks like he's going to be an elite running back for, a long time. He looks like a generational player. So, and then you got to like Dan Campbell. He's if you like vocal, kind of in your face kind of guys as far as your head coach, you want that dude. That's your dude. That's your guy right there. He's that's who you want. He's the epitome of that. So, but I'm very happy for Detroit. But I mean, it's not like the Rams are completely lost. They look like they've done okay. Puka Nacua looks like he is going to be.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I'm just sitting here looking at the box score, just looking at stats and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm remembering. Do you remember?
Yes.
A few years back, we were doing draft prep, in the off season before everything, and we were saying, man, I would love to see the Browns get this Amon-Ra St. Brown kid.
Yeah, we've got videos of it.
Yep.
It was in our,
Yep. And the Browns drafted Anthony Schwartz instead.
Right. Okay.
And
very
we
fast.
passed. Yeah.
Very fast.
Super fast. Yeah. Super sucked
Olympic
too.
speed.
Yep. Really, really bad. And we passed on Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then this past year, we did draft prep.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a solo episode talking about how I wanted the Browns to draft Puka Nacua. This kid out of BYU. And, everyone's like, well, who the hell's Puka Nacua? What the hell?
5th round pick.
Yeah.
Right.
This is who Puka Nacua is.
Man. I've been talking to guys, all week, not for a while now, because I feel like he's a fantasy relevant kind of guy. I love talking fantasy. I'll talk fantasy. I'll talk you to sleep on some fantasy.
We talk almost every day about it.
Correct. So, to me, I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but Puka has absolutely become, I think he is the number one already. He's already kind of taken over that role. Now, Stafford's saying he's coming back for another year, but I think that he's already kind of planted over Cooper Kupp, which is crazy because Cooper Kupp has been, he's a freak. He has been that dude for years. But there's something special about Puka Nacua. And a lot of the fantasy deep sleeper guys, they were saying, watch out for this kid, especially towards preseason. Like, you're getting to see him live game action with the Rams. And they were like, they are playing second, third string, but like, this kid looks special out there. Well, he is special. He is going to be very, very good, I think, for a long time if he stays healthy. And he's tough. We watched him in the Browns game. He got banged up early on, shoulder injury, and we're like, in the back of our minds, we're going, well, hey, thank God we ain't got to worry about this guy anymore. And then, he's right back out there. So he's going to be somebody to watch for a long time.
So we'll see what receivers we suggest the Browns take this year that they pass on and take lesser players. Because, again, could have had Puka. He didn't go till the 5th. We took Cedric Tillman.
Yeah.
Could have had Amon-Ra. We took Anthony Schwartz. So our track record of hitting on wide receivers isn't very good. So this offseason will really be interesting because we need it. We need it bad.
Yeah.
So, that was a interesting game. Like you said, only 3 field goals after halftime. So Saturday, the Browns get whooped to kick off the weekend. Steelers fans online, I really do think that Steeler fans have a little bit missing up top because they just don't seem to realize that wild card round is all weekend. I'm like, you guys do realize that you have to play in this round too. You just don't have to play till tomorrow. Oh, it got moved. You don't have to play until Monday. You know what I mean? And
we lost week week 19.5. They lost week 19.75. So technically, they were more successful, obviously.
Exactly.
That's their reasoning on it.
I had so much, look who's still in the playoffs. I'm like, not really. I mean, if you were simulating this would all happen at once. And you guys got your asses whooped. 31-17, Bills beat the Steelers. It got a little bit close for a minute, but just for a minute. I mean, the Bills jumped out on them quick, so fast. It was like, 21-0 before they blocked that field goal. And the only reason they scored that field goal, or they scored that first touchdown, is because they blocked that field goal and got the ball in great position.
Yeah. Bills are going to be tough. Bills are going to be a tough out.
They're a team that's definitely clicking and catching at the right time.
Yeah. Yep. Josh Allen, stud, just straights that 52-yard run. That keeper, he kind of fake slides it and then just barrels over the dude, just shakes. You can't tackle him high. He is as physical as a runner for a quarterback, as you're really going to get out there. And some of the throws he makes is just, it's pretty awesome. They're going to be an insane out. Great matchup coming up this next week. I mean, the NFL
couldn't have asked for a better matchup. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and say it now. I mean, the Chiefs go to Buffalo now for the rematch.
It's the flip. It's like a flip game now because it's always been in Kansas City. That game has always been in Kansas City. So I want to say this is the first time Kansas City is going on the road in a playoff game in Patrick Mahomes' era, which is
very well could be
insane. Which is, I mean, credit to them. That means you've been like a number one seed or a very high seed for his entire career, which that's impressive.
I just think it's wild that the Bills, there for a while, are they even going to make the playoffs? Now here they are,
6-6.
The Chiefs. Yeah.
Yeah. They were 6-6, and pretty much everybody had them out. They were all saying that, they were too inconsistent, which they were. There was, player-only meetings. Their offensive coordinator got fired. So, to me, they're a very dangerous team. And then that stadium, I don't know how they even got fans in some of the pictures that I was seeing coming out of the stadium pregame. I'm like, basically the field was clear and that was it. The aisleways to the seats.
It was sweet when they would score. The Bills would score, and then you just see the snow going up in the air. Like, it just looked like little mini explosions all throughout the stadium.
Their fans are built different. They got a fan base. I've done a couple. I want to say the second Browns game I ever went to, I went with my brother-in-law to a Buffalo Bills Cleveland Browns game in Cleveland, and we tailgated with the visitor side. I didn't even know. I was just like, yeah, man, I'll go to the game with you. Got some tickets from his buddies, went up there. This was 2000, God, I don't know, maybe 2007. CJ Spiller was their running back. And this is how far back we're going. But fun fans to tailgate. Not like usually you have, I don't know how Cleveland Browns fans are. Where we tailgate, it's pretty laid back and chill. It's like the more retiree type stuff. I'm not going down to Muni a lot. I can't. I'm getting too old for that. I can't do it like that no more. But their fan bases, I would consider them a very friendly fan base. They're awesome, and some of their traditions and stuff like that, just they're wild though. They're a wild group out there in Buffalo, but their team is very good. They're going to be hard to get out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they definitely are. So
banged up on defense, though. I don't know how many more injuries they can sustain. They had a veteran guy, pretty much come off the street this week, and he played a lot of minutes because they lost another. I want to say it was Bernard. They lost linebacker or something like that. But there are tons of injuries on the defensive side of the ball for them.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Browns fans, we've had some time now to come down off of that playoff loss. It's still super disappointing, but it was still an incredible season. And now we're heading into 2024, into the off season, ready to refocus our sights on the ultimate goal. And as 2024 continues to unfold for you, now is the perfect time to refocus on yourself, and that includes your mental health. Yes, I know there is still some stigma in society around mental health, but that is all nonsense. Your health, whether it's mind, body, or spiritual, is the most important thing. And that's where today's sponsor, BetterHelp, the most convenient talk therapy service, can benefit you. It's 100% online and 100% on your time. Schedule whatever kind of session you're comfortable with. Face chat, voice call, or even text messaging. You can do any of those with your therapist whenever it fits your schedule. And you don't have to worry about not getting paired with the best therapist for you. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. There is no reason not to at least give BetterHelp a try today. And to help get you started, you can save 10% off your first month at BetterHelp, HELP.com/Dawgs, DAWGS. Consider this a trial period to see if talk therapy is even right for you. If it's not, just cancel. But if it is, guys, it could change your life. What do you have to lose? Your mental health is critical. And if you've been considering talking to someone about anything in your life, no matter how big or how small it may seem, now is the time to take that first step. Head to betterhelp.com/Dawgs to get 10% off your first month. The very last game of the weekend, which we'll talk about, the Philadelphia Eagles, sorry, Devontae, went to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers and got their asses handed to them on whatever kind of platter you want to call it. I don't care. It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for the Eagles, man. This is a team that, partway through the season, you look at the teams in the NFL and you just kind of project ahead and you say, okay, I think top teams right now, 49ers, Ravens,
Philly,
Cowboys, Eagles. And Eagles might go in between, any of those. They could have been one.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
It was, they didn't have A.J. Brown. Defense hasn't been that great this season. But overall, the whole team just looked like garbage.
Well, what happened? To me, that's one of the... So I wasn't as shocked by this game because everything led up to this. If you read the tea leaves, it was like, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
They've been extremely dysfunctional. They started 10-1 and lost 7 of the last 8?
I think so.
It was something along those lines. It was that bad of a losing streak.
6 maybe, because they were 11 and
it was
6.
At 6. Okay. Yeah. So just very, very surprising. For a team that looked dominant at the beginning, and looked like they were just going to be running right back to the Super Bowl, depending on what happened with the Niners, run it back in the NFC Championship. Super surprising. And then it just seems like such a dysfunctional locker room right now. I don't follow the Eagles. I've got a couple fans, friends that are Eagles fans, but just some of the noise that's coming out where you have player-only meetings and, A.J. Brown's taking all of his stuff off of his social media that's Eagles-related. Jalen Hurts is rolling in there with a swan finger. It couldn't, all the things fell apart all at the right time. Their defense, which was historically good last year, they had, I want to say, second most sacks in NFL history for a season, something crazy like that. They were historically bad. They got gashed up and down the field. We talked about, I want to say it was Blake. He was the Giants just walked up and down the field on them in that week 17 game where, and we were just it was so surprising. Now, for Tampa Bay, credit to them. They look great. I watched a good portion of that game. Good for Baker. You know what I mean? He came in, he performed. He missed some throws. He made some throws. He's got there's some nice pieces on that team. Mike Evans just continues to do Mike Evans stuff, and he's underrated receiver for what he does. But, and then, they just came in, punched him in the mouth. It was at home, and that was it. But Eagles fans, maybe I'm confused. What's going on with your team? On paper, you guys have one of the best rosters in the NFL. For sure, one of the best offensive lines, going into this. That's a great offensive line. The weapons, you have one of the best receivers. You have one of the best young receivers. Another top 10, top 15 guy, easy, in Devontae Smith. A great running back, a top 10 tight end. I don't understand what happened. And then there's all these good young pieces on defense mixed with veterans that are good. So it's so surprising. I don't know if the loss of Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon going to two different, head coaching spots in Colts and Cardinals respectively. Maybe Nick Sirianni isn't as great as we thought he was, because last year everybody crowned him. And man, that was crazy.
And it kind of ties into what you're seeing Cleveland doing, getting rid of Alex Van Pelt and trying to upgrade that OC position. Your head coach, your head coach can do a lot. We saw that this year with the Browns.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski really rallying the troops and encouraging and leading this team through the season to the playoffs. But you really do need a strong supporting crew beneath you. And you're right. It's not like the Eagles last year said, well, things aren't working so well on offense. We need to let Steichen go, or defense isn't going so well. We need to let Gannon go. Those guys both got hired away.
Right.
So
exactly.
they lost them unwillingly. And I think Blake said it many times this year, that losing those guys seems to really be impacting this team.
For sure. Big time.
Yeah.
Offensively, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, Indianapolis looked pretty damn good this year. They, for a team that was fringe playoffs they lost their young starting quarterback prospect, who he looked pretty damn good. He was more of a runner than anything, from what we saw, but he looked all right. He looked like they've got something okay there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one was very, very surprising to me. I figured, I saw it happening like leading up to the game, and I thought like that was the smart pick, was to go Tampa Bay, because it just felt like there was just so much noise and extra stuff coming into that week for them. But I was just like, man, they're very talented. Like, I'd be surprised if it actually went down, and then they got drubbed. Like, to me, it wasn't close. Like, I felt like Tampa Bay kind of got ahead, and like it never really was close after that.
No, it was a blowout. So
yeah.
Well,
we weren't the only ones, apparently.
No, actually, like I said, there was really only one close game. Everything else was pretty well decided by the winning team.
Yeah.
So this weekend, this is Divisional Round Saturday at 4:30. You've got the Texans. C.J. Stroud and the Texans heading to Baltimore to face Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. That one, like I said, 4:30. And then the night game on Saturday, 8:15, the Packers that just stunned the Cowboys and that awesome Cowboys defense are going into 49ers in San Francisco. Can they do it again? Can they go on the road again into another dominant defense? And I mean, the 49ers have a great offense too. So
yeah,
it's a similar story.
They're pretty well-rounded. They're well-rounded for sure. I would be very surprised if Green Bay pulled it off again. I just feel like 49ers just kind of different. They've got elite players in all aspects of their game. They're a tough physical team, and they have been for a while. We've seen if you can get some pressure on Brock Purdy, he kind of becomes a little more human and not MVP Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't see that one. I think that, maybe it's close. I think the line right now is like 9.5, 10.5 or something like that. It's pretty
9.
It's pretty surprising. Yeah. So, I just if I had to pick a team, I would say San Francisco. I don't think it'll be like a huge blowout. I think Green Bay can stick around with them for a little bit, but I'd be very surprised if they upset San Francisco. Man, they might be a dark horse. I mean, they're already
legit shot.
They're already at there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the lines this week. So Houston, Baltimore, the line is 9. Packers, 49ers, 9. The Buccaneers now are traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. That one's at 6.5. And then the Chiefs and Bills is the 3-point spread. So that one's a close game, which I think it will be. I think that one's going to be exciting.
For sure.
Of course, that's the cap of the weekend. That's the bell of the ball, 6:30 p.m.
Smart.
Sunday night.
Smart.
Oh, of course, it's smart. Yeah, the NFL, they know how to make their money.
Yeah.
Sunday at 3 is the afternoon game is Buccaneers Lions. So you think Baker goes in with the Bucs and takes care of the Lions? Is he moving on to the NFC Championship?
No hate here. I don't think so. I don't. I think that Detroit.
They're for real.
Is going to do it again. And I could be wrong. I'm going way back in memory here. I believe they played like week 5 or 6, and I want to say that Detroit won that game pretty soundly.
Okay.
I could be completely wrong here and messing it up, mixing things up. But so to me, I think it's going to be Detroit in the NFC Championship game. And I don't think it's going to be necessarily on Baker. Like, he's going to go out there and throw like 2 or 3 interceptions. I just think that like Detroit's just...
They're a better team.
Exactly. I'm not hating or anything like that. I'm not doing being anti-Baker bro stuff here. I just think that Detroit is a very good team and they're very well rounded, and that's the team that I think comes out on.
No, I mean, to speak to Baker, I mean, they're not the Tampa Bay Bakerneers, they are the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Right. the line, he doesn't play defense. The Buccaneers still had to go out and play defense against the Eagles, shut them down and everything. Now, take nothing away, Baker had a very good game. He played very well in that game, led them to that victory. But football is a team sport, and the Buccaneers this year have been so up and down. They look good one game, and then they look like garbage another. The Lions just look pretty sound all around pretty much all the time. They're very consistent. Of course, nobody's undefeated in the NFL, but as far as consistency goes, I think the Lions have that. They're just, like you said, well-rounded.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. So the last one, really, I mean, you think the Texans go in and beat the Ravens? Because I got to tell you what, Ravens fans are just about as dumb as Steeler fans because they're talking a lot of trash to Browns fans. And it's like, you guys do realize now you have to play them. Why don't you just wait till the game is over and then you can talk your shit? You know what I mean? Because now if you lose, you got to block us because we're coming after you.
So they played week 1, if I'm not wrong, if I'm correct here, 25-9 or 7 or something like that. It was CJ Stroud's first game. I want to say that the Baltimore starters are coming off of weeks of rest, right? 2-3 weeks, something like that, because they've had the bye week now. They rested their starters week 18. So to me, I don't think they're going to be rusty. I think that they're very physical. When we talk about well-rounded, they're going to be fine, I think. I'm curious though in this game because would it surprise me if Stroud came out and went off? Not really. I feel like that's just kind of his thing right now. I think the more you disrespect him and that team, the more chippy they get. But that's a tall ask to go into Baltimore, into that stadium, and say what you want, Baltimore is a top notch. They're one of the elite teams in the NFL this year. Lamar is playing really, really well. I think Baltimore wins this game, and I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it'll be a close game, but I think Baltimore wins.
Both of these teams they're not the same. Neither of them are the same that faced the other one in week 1. These teams have both improved significantly through the year. I mean, the Ravens' new offense and everything took a long time to really get going, but it has. And, with Houston, we know what that story is all about. I mean, CJ Stroud has just evolved into this superstar already, and he doesn't turn the ball over. So, yeah, I think this will be a lot closer game than Ravens fans are willing to admit out loud, at least. But there's going to be some good football this week, and I'm pretty excited.
I agree. And who do you, I guess they top it off real quick. Who do you got? Kansas City, Buffalo?
I just got to take Kansas City.
I'm going to go Buffalo.
Okay.
I think Patrick Mahomes, is 2-0, I think, against Josh Allen in the playoffs. I think that
Allen's due.
I think it's finally going to Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think it's finally Buffalo's turn to host. But I expect that to be an excellent game. It's, as advertised, I would hope, because the last few times that those guys have met up, legendary classic playoff games. The one where they went 13 seconds and down the field.
Yeah.
Was that 2 years ago?
I think so.
That was one of the craziest games I've ever watched. And thought it was over multiple times for both teams. And Kansas City ended up winning the Super Bowl, I believe. Or was that the year they won against Tampa Bay? I can't remember now. My years are all mixed up. But I want to say they went on to win the Super Bowl that year, but I could be wrong.
No, I don't think they did, but
is that the year they ran into Tom?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. My years are all mixed up too. I know. I always get screwed, especially when these teams make it every year.
Right. But I'd like to see Josh Allen go, at least have a shot at it, and then set up for. Regardless, the final matchups in the conference championships are going to be excellent.
Yes,
a lot of good teams left.
Yep, a lot of good teams, a lot of good games. So. If you guys have been watching this week, we are planning to do a live episode on Sunday. So kind of right between those two games, I think we're shooting for like around the 4 o'clock-ish hour. So, the Bucs and Lions will be playing. So just mute the TV, tune into YouTube, check it out, jump in the chat with us. We'll be talking. We're going to be presenting our nominees for the Mad Dog Awards this year, and then we'll open voting on our website, and you guys can do all this stuff. If you have not been with the show in years past, you don't know what the Mad Dogs are, go search it. Go to YouTube, just search, the Dawgs Podcast Mad Dog Awards. Check out some of the previous shows. We give out, our awards. Well, your awards. You guys vote. You guys pick the winners for these different categories for the Browns. So that's a lot of fun. And then we'll wrap up our show, get home to watch the Chiefs and Bills. So it's going to be a great weekend. A lot of fun, a lot of good football, and we're excited to be there with you guys through it all. Justin, anything else you want to hit before we wrap this sucker up?
No, I'm all good, brother.
All right, man. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in to another episode. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. We appreciate everybody's support. Head to jointhedawgs.com if you want more Dawgs podcast content. We do an after-hours bonus episode every week. We'll be doing one this weekend as well for that. And you can get access to the private Discord that way, which that's where everybody is. That's the community. We're having a ton of fun. These guys are in there talking. We're in there with them. There's a conversation going on 24/7.
All the time.
It's wild. It is
about everything.
So much fun. So if you need Browns fans to talk to, like-minded people to get in conversations with, and you always want to have people just right there at the ready to talk to you about anything, honestly, anything. And these are great people. It's a great group of people, so supportive, and they'll drop what they're doing if you need help with something. It's awesome. It's good stuff. So very blessed to have that community. Jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member. We're going to wrap this up, and we will talk to you guys on Sunday night. Enjoy the football on Saturday, and we'll talk to you then.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.